I'm excited, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to test my game against the best players in the world and arguably the coolest golf course in the world. I'm humbled. I'm nervous, but it's a good kind of nerves, and I'm just words can't describe the feelings that I have, just knowing that my name will be called on that first tee sometime on Thursday, and I just can't wait.
You've been there before, right? To see it?
I've been there a number of times. I'm one of the lucky ones, and I mean, I haven't seen it obviously in tournament condition, but I think just having those couple of extra rounds might give me a little bit of an advantage over maybe some of the other amateurs in the field.
How many times have you been there?
I've played about 11 rounds. There have been days of multiple rounds. I probably would say about 7 or 8 times in trips, but I've played about 11 rounds.
Did you play as Jordan's guest, or was it?
Well, our coach took us out to Augusta to play through some alumni who are members, and so they were nice enough to take us out, and we got to play my freshman and sophomore year. We used to play a tournament at Augusta State at Forest Hills in Augusta, and so the team gift was a practice round ticket to the Masters. So we played my freshman and sophomore year, so I got to see tournament week and kind of what it was like to be out there, although it was a Monday, which is the most relaxed day out of the whole deal. But I got to see it for what it's worth and just see all the really, really good players that are out there. And I was lucky enough to qualify, and after you qualify, you get an invite to come and practice and prepare. And so I took advantage of a couple of those days.
How many times did you beat since you qualified for the amateur?
I went one trip in November with Jean Paul, and then I went 3 times with my father, and then we were invited again by our alumni to come and play again. So that would be, I would say, 5 days of practice. No. I think he has more tournament rounds out there than I have rounds, so I would say that's incorrect.
Is your dad going to come to this?
My father will be caddying, and hopefully if Augusta National will let me, my mom will also be caddying during the par 3, so they'll both be wearing a jumpsuit that day, on Wednesday.
What's that like to have your family out there with you, not just there on the course, but they're right next to you?
It'll be amazing. I mean, people say it's my journey, but it's really our journey from day one, and my parents have been there with me, and my sister won't be able to make it, and I told her that's fine, but she's taking it harder than I am, and it's at least nice to hear that, and how much it means to the rest of my family. It means a lot to me, and I'm excited. My dad threw out the idea yesterday, actually, of having my mom also caddy, because there's a lot of players that have multiple caddies, like their wives or their children, and I was like, that would be really cool. And I told my dad that I'd let him hit the shot on 9 at the par 3 contest, and I let my mom putt it out. So yeah, I'm really excited to be there and to show them what I'm capable of.
Did your dad basically coach you?
He's coached me my whole life, and I guess now with the help with Coach Fields and JP, they're my other coaches. But when it comes to knowing me, no one knows myself better than my father.
When did he start coaching?
6 years old.
And can you describe that experience?
It was an experience. I mean, as you could imagine, there's a lot of highs and lows. It was a lot of firsts for both my dad and I. He had never coached a player that got to certain points to to national events as a junior, to D1 golf at a program like Texas, to the #1 ranked D1 school at Texas, and now at the Masters. We've both learned a lot. We struggled together and had a lot of great memories together as well. And yeah, I don't know how you can beat being at Augusta as an amateur.
Yeah. And is your dad an accomplished golfer?
He played pretty well in his day. He never got to be too serious. He got injured along the way. He doesn't really like to talk about it, and I didn't really want to press any further. So, but he knows the game well, and obviously he's on my bag, and he helped me a lot during the summer and at the U.S. Amateur, and yeah, it's been a dream of mine to have him walk down the fairways at Augusta, and it's pretty crazy to think that'll be happening next week.
Since the summer, how much have you thought about this week? How often do you think about it?
I mean, I've been thinking about it since a little kid, but I've been thinking about it seriously since probably my senior year of high school. I lost that final at the Pub Links, and the winner of the Pub Links gets to go. And I had a 1-up lead going into the last hole, and I lost it. I hit it out of bounds and lost in the playoff. And it didn't hit me then, but when we were at the practice round as a team that next spring, and I got to see what it was like during tournament week, it stung a bit. We got a tour of the Crow's Nest, which was just, at the time, was just pretty brutal, to be honest. And I told my coach that I didn't want to be back here unless I was playing. And when that last putt dropped at Riviera during the semifinal, my coach was like, "Well, you're going to be back there and you're going to be playing." So, but since I've qualified, it's been in the back of my mind. It's crazy because you're trying to focus when you're trying to do next, and so there's always that next college tournament or your next college exam, and all those things. But I feel like I've exercised that so much that all of a sudden now that it's the next thing on my plate, it's pretty crazy because I feel like, well, there's usually something else that I need to focus on. But now people are asking me when I'm going to leave for the Masters, and I say the Saturday before the tournament. And then they look back at me and they say, "You realize that that's this Saturday, right?" And I'd be like, "You're right, that's crazy." But it's been in my mind for a while, and I'm just really, really excited.
Are you disappointed you can't stay in the Crow's Nest?
Pardon?
Are you disappointed you can't stay in the Crow's Nest?
I will be staying in the Crow's Nest for a night. I mean, it's really cool. We got to, when we went as a team a couple of months ago, we got a tour, and the last time it was kind of going through one ear and out the other because I knew I wasn't going to be staying in it. But to know that I actually reserved my room today for Monday night before this. So, but to know that I'm going to be sitting in there and enjoying a really good time with 5 other really, really good amateur golfers, and to enjoy that night and the history behind all of those. There's pictures of all the greats: Tiger, Phil, Mr. Nicklaus, Ken Venturi, you name it, and all their stories. And to wake up and see a picture of Tiger first thing in the morning when he was 19, 20 years old is pretty cool. And it's going to be wild. I know a lot of the guys that are going to be staying up there with me. I know Harry Ellis, who won the British Amateur. Obviously know Doc. Got to know him at the Walker Cup and got to play with him at the All-American in El Paso. And we're pretty good friends now. People try to play that rivalry a little bit too much, but he's a really good guy. And Joaquin Neiman, who won the Latin American, and we're pretty good friends as well. So very excited to be staying up there, and I'll have some great company, and just excited for the whole week in general.
So you're sleeping in the same bed Tiger Woods slept in, basically?
I'm not sure if I can confirm that, but I know that he was in that room at some point, and just the thought of it gives me chills.
Are there 5? How big is it?
So it is actually very small. It's a tiny room. It's probably about a quarter of this room, and there are 5 beds and there's 6 amateurs. So I'm not really sure how that works. I was worried that when I called today that I might not get a bed, and they said that there was still room available. So, but it's a small room. There's a couple cubicles, I guess you could call it, and in some of them there's a single bed, and some of them there's 2 beds, and the 2 beds are literally spread out by about 4 inches. So when you're waking, if you have an early tea time and the other guy has an afternoon tea time, you literally have to step over him as he's sleeping to try to get to the shower. But it's nice and cozy. I'm only going to stay in it one night, but there's so many people great golfers that haven't had the chance to stay there during the Masters. I don't take lightly the opportunity that I have to play the Masters as an amateur. It's a great honor, knowing Mr. Jones was an amateur his whole life, and how the whole tournament is based on that honor of playing the game, and to be able to stay there one night and have that opportunity is something that I just couldn't pass up.
You gonna keep a journal or just take a million pictures, or what are you gonna?
I mean, I'm gonna take a ton of pictures. That's kind of what kids in our generation do, I guess. That's our version of a journal. But I've agreed to kind of work with Golf Week throughout the week, and some of the writers there will help me have a journal day to day, and so if you're interested, tune in.
What was the best round you shot there?
I shot 69 out there actually on our first trip. I haven't really counted much since then. Just tried to enjoy it or prepare. So I haven't really been keeping score much, but I shot 69 in my second round out there. I got beat actually by one of my teammates. He shot 68. He buried the last 2 holes on me to beat me, but that was fun. I've shot 31 on the front, and I've shot 32 on the back before. So it's out there. It's possible. And so, yeah, I'm going to do the best that I can to see if I could perform the way that I know how.
Have you thought about practice rounds?
So unofficially, I'm told that I'm probably going to be playing with Jordan Spieth, and I also I got the opportunity to spend some time with Webb Simpson last week while he was at the match play, and he gave me his number and told me that I'm welcome to play, and so those 2 guys seem like really great guys to be around. I know Mr. Crenshaw told me that he wanted to walk 9 holes and show me around, so I think I'm kind of surrounding myself with some good company. I know Dylan Fratelli will be out there, and so will Jonathan Vegas, so I'm hoping to at least hang around them if they have their own schedules and they know what they want to do, but it would be great to spend some time with them and hear what they have to say about the golf course.
So what's a hole that fits your mind and your game more than any other hole there?
Whatever hole that I'm standing on. But no, Augusta National I have a lot of respect for. It's scoreable. It's very fair, but it's also very extreme. So if you're hitting it well, you're going to give yourself a lot of looks. But also, if you're hitting it poorly, you're going to leave yourself in really difficult spots. There's not really one hole that you can take a breather, because every hole out there, it seems like the easier layout the hole has, the crazier the green gets. Yeah. And the easier the green gets, the harder the actual hole becomes. So I'm just trying to take it one shot at a time, as cliche as that is. But I think some of the best advice that I've heard was just to play it like any other golf course. I've seen golf courses like it before, maybe not in as immaculate shape as it's going to be, but I know enough about golf courses to know where not to hit it, and I just got to focus on trying to put the ball where I want to put it. And I think if I could do that, I'll be just fine.
Do you own any of the holes?
Pardon?
Do you own any of the holes?
Well, I like number 10. Everyone talks about how a lot of championships are lost on that hole. I've birdied it probably 5 or 6 times, so I like that hole. I say that now. I don't want to jinx anything, but I think it's a beautiful hole to start with. I think it's really cool. Most people don't know that used to be the first hole at the original design, and they realized that when the weather was colder, that the sun didn't get above the trees, which made that 9 a little bit colder. So they decided to flip the 9s very early, and so that used to be the starting hole, which is kind of cool, I think. And they moved where that big bunker is, about 50, 60 yards short of the green, is where the green used to be, and they pushed it back further. But I really like that hole. It fits my eye. I draw the ball off the tee, so that's obviously what that hole likes to do. And I don't mind fading it with an iron, so that green slopes right to left. So I think it suits my eye pretty well, and it's one of my favorite holes for sure.
How much of the course have you studied? Has it been recently, or you seem to know a lot?
Well, the Masters was the first major that I really had paid attention to. I grew up just practicing golf. My dad didn't let me play until I was well-versed and knew how to hit the golf ball. So I didn't watch golf much. I was just focusing on my craft because I knew if I wasn't good enough, my dad wouldn't let me play. So I was focused on trying to get out there. So as a kid that played as much golf as he did, or at practice as much as he did, I didn't really know much about the golfing world. And the first major championship that I had watched was when Tiger won in 2005, and that was a great one to start with. And I mean, his chip in on 16 was pretty amazing. I went in my backyard and was like, I'm trying to spin it as much as he can, and not really understanding exactly how you're supposed to do it. And but that the Masters has always been special to me. I've watched. It's the one tournament that I could watch every single person hit a shot, and it could be a practice round, and I could still be studying the golf course just by watching them play it. And I've picked up a lot just by watching the tournament through the years and watching highlights. We were in Florida in our last tournament, and I was watching Tiger highlights from 2001, and I mean, it never ceases to amaze the stuff that could be done on that golf course, and it has been done. And I don't see why it couldn't happen to me. But yeah, I feel as prepared as I probably could be. I can't say that I am prepared because Augusta National is a beast. It's difficult. It's challenging in every way, and it tests you physically and mentally. But I've done everything that I can on my part, and whatever's left is just to execute as best as I can.
Can you describe your game a little bit, for those that haven't seen you regularly?
I mean, I wish I could say that I hit it long and straight and hit every green and make every putt, but there are certain guys that I love to watch more than others because they emulate kind of where I would want to be and what I see myself being at the peak of my game. And I think a great person to look at for me, not just because he went to Texas, but Jordan. He doesn't blow you away with how far he hits it. He's incredibly consistent. He plays very smart. He's very prepared. He is hardly ever surprised wherever his ball ends up. He always seems to know where he can put it on that next shot and see if he can make a par if he's out of position. And when he does have a look for birdie, he ends up capitalizing. So that's kind of what I try to do. I don't try to blow you away with hitting 350-yard drives, but I try to blow you away with my stats. I try to hit as many fairways as I can, And even though I don't hit it far, I'd rather hit it 3-wood and put it in the fairway and make sure that I have that 5-iron from the middle of the fairway than that 7-iron from the fairway bunker. So I pride myself on my ball striking. And I like to think that I have a decent short game, sufficient enough for if I'm hitting it well, the few greens that I miss. Hopefully that's still the case when we're out there next week. And I like to think that I'm a pretty good short putter, so that makes it a little bit easier when you're a little bit further away from the hole and know that you can make that 4 or 5 footer for par if needed. But I don't feel like I do anything that might make anybody's jaw drop, but I feel like I have a relatively solid game, and I'm still learning, learning how to think better, learning how to acquire some new shots that I might not have, and learning how to take risks, because I like to take the risk out. And I understand that, in order to win championships, you got to take that one big shot sometimes. And yeah, I'm learning the game as well as I can, but I feel that if I do what I'm capable and know that I know how to do, there's no reason why I couldn't compete. I have the utmost respect for everyone in the field and the golf course and everyone, and I'm not going to say that I'm going to win or any of that kind of sentiment, but I know that I can play well, and I can't control whatever anyone else does on that golf course, and I'm just going to do the best that I possibly can and see where it goes from there.
And how many rounds you gonna play, you think? You gonna play every day except Saturday or starting Sunday?
I'm not so sure. I am definitely going to practice on Saturday. I don't know if I will play. I'm going to take it kind of light, and I might play a full round on Tuesday just because that's kind of as close to the tournament conditions as it might get. I'll play 9 holes on Wednesday morning, but they close the course due to the par 3 contest. So I'll play a full round on Tuesday. They say that the greens get much faster and firmer after Wednesday night. So I don't think there's anything that I can do to prepare for that other than just expect it. They always say it's more than you think, so I'm ready for 25 on the stimp, and I'm just going to try to get prepared that way mentally and not let it affect the way I feel on Thursday morning. But I think I'm just going to take it maybe half round at a time until Tuesday, play a full round there, and take Wednesday to enjoy with my family.
You gonna play the par 3?
Yes.
And you're gonna play around with Jordan, or do you know?
I'm supposed to be playing with Spieth. I don't know what day. I know he's a busy guy, and he's a past champ there, so there's a lot of people that want to talk to him. But if he's so gracious to, I'd love to play 9 holes with him on whatever day he chooses, and definitely looking forward to hearing some advice.
I know how competitive you are, Doug. I'm guessing you just don't want to make the cut. I mean, you want to take Sergio's green jacket, don't you? Or is that just the goal, to make the cut, shoot under par, and be happier than go for it softer?
I mean, yeah, there are a lot of different goals. You don't have to have just one goal, and obviously winning is the objective. I know all 86 or so players in the field feel the same way. They want to go and win, but on a golf course like Augusta National and a field like the Masters has, there's so much golf. There's so many guys who can win, and there's so many things that can happen. And so to have that as your goal as you step to the first tee on Thursday might not be the best. You want to take it, little goal at a time, because there's going to be so many distractions. For me, I've never played in front of a crowd like that. I can guarantee you that. As loud as my dad and my mom can be when I'm standing on the first tee of a college tournament, I don't think that's going to be the same feeling. But there's going to be TV, cameras. It's probably the most anticipated week in the golfing world all year long. So I know I'm guilty of streaming it during class and all that. But there's going to be a lot of distractions. So for me, it's just going to be about setting goals. The first day, my first goal is to hit it in the fairway on one. And people don't talk about one a lot, but one is one of the hardest holes in the golf course. It's one of the most uncomfortable tee shots, just because you're right there in front of the clubhouse, and 18, 10, 9, everything is right there, and so the crowd is moving. You hear the whispers. It's even when there's no one out there, you can kind of imagine and feel the history that's been right there, and it's an unnerving tee shot. So for me, first goal is just to put it in the fairway and shoot something around par, and I'll take it one day at a time and reassess my goals. But a good number would be T12. T12 gets you back, and it gets you reinvited. But making the cut would be a blessing, to spend 4 days out there with the best players in the world and having my dad on the bag and contending for the low amateur honors would be an incredible feat. And but I'm trying to do my best to take the pressure off. I mean, I understand how big of an opportunity this is and how life-changing it could be if I play really well, but just being out there is as much accomplishment. I mean, it's a big enough accomplishment on itself. And so no one's expecting me to shoot 64, even though maybe I know that I'm capable of it, but no one's really given me a shot, I don't think, outside the Longhorn Nation maybe. But I know what I can do, but I'm proud no matter what I do at the Masters, and I'm confident that I'll carry myself in a way that will make everyone else proud that knows me.
Did the pressure of the U.S. Amateur kind of help prepare you for this next week?
Yeah. I mean, that was some of the most pressure I ever felt coming down the stretch there. I remember the last 9 holes thinking to myself that this is probably what a major feels like, and within yourself. Yes, there's not as many people, not as many fans, not as prestigious as a U.S. Open or any major U.S. Masters, British, PGA, but to us, that is our major. That is the biggest tournament that we have all year. It's what everyone circles on their calendar, and to have 9 holes left with a shot at winning your national championship was pretty incredible. And so I would like to think that would help me. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. Augusta, just any professional event is just going to feel different, just everything about it. But the Masters is just going to be that times whatever you want to say, 1,000,000, 1,000, whatever it is. It's just going to be magnified, and I'm going to do my best to prepare for it. But I know likely that I'm still going to feel those nerves. I'm going to be nervous, and I'm just going to embrace it and have fun. And if I do hit a whippersnapper down the left side, down 9, I'll just play it down 9 and try to make par the hard way.
And the amateur, was it a little bittersweet how Doc prevailed right at the end, but you knew you got it into the Masters?
Yeah, it was the night before the final was kind of a weird one, because obviously the semifinal meant a lot to me to get my second chance at birth of a likely invitation to the Masters. There's a lot of pressure, and to win it and play as well as I did, I had to keep reminding myself that there was still 36 holes left. It's difficult because you're so excited about all the things that are coming your way, and I was hoping and praying that I came out the next day and still had that same tenacity and focus and grit and wanting to be the winner at a shot at history. And I know, I mean, you want to win, but a more realistic approach is to play well, and that's all I wanted to do, is to give myself a legitimate chance. You see a lot of guys that show up to that final and they're not ready for it, and sometimes it's just a landslide, and it goes. I think when Bryson DeChambeau won it, he won just it was a no contest by the time they got to that first tee in the afternoon, and I didn't want that. And in any way, if he wasn't ready, I wanted to be the guy to be on that landslide, that winning side of it. And I just wanted to be prepared. And so it stung to lose, but I was very happy with myself, with the way that I carried myself. There was a lot of times where I could have let it slip, and I held on to it as long as I could. And Doc just played amazing. He deserved every bit of it, and he showed so much guts and a lot of mental strength to be able to finish the way he did, and kudos to him. And it's definitely still a positive thing in my head, and there was too many positives. And then when the tournament was over, I let myself think about everything that was coming my way, like a spot in the U.S. Open, a spot in the Masters, and a place on the Walker Cup team. And if you told me at the beginning of the week that that's what I would have had, I would definitely have considered to take it without even playing in the tournament. So I was definitely proud of what I did, and I think I shot 5 under that whole 36 holes that Sunday, and I left with my head held high.
And Shinnecock too, right?
Yeah, the U.S. Open at Shinnecock. Yep.
You played there?
I have not, but my first 2 professional events will be Augusta National and Shinnecock. So every tour event after that is going to seem kind of low-key, I guess.
Anything else, guys?
How far is Arlington Heights from Loyola? Is it setting up Doug, Ramblers and Doug Ghim?
It's definitely inspiring. I definitely look to other sports for cool stories. There's no reason to not believe in yourself. And Coach gave us a speech yesterday within the team that sometimes it's just the belief. You know, you got in national championships last year for golf, Oklahoma was the 14th seed. Everyone looked at Vanderbilt and Oklahoma State and all those teams to win, and they showed a mental toughness. They believed that they could win, and you could see it on their faces. I remember watching it and thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. No one really gave Oklahoma a chance. I remember hearing people talk about it, seeing the stuff on Twitter, and no one they were a sleeper pick. No one really thought about them, but they showed up to play, and it's the same with Loyola. They believe in themselves. You could see it in the way they play. They don't even look surprised. They're doing what they love to do, and they understand that no one really thinks that they're going to do it, and they don't care. And I'm going to do my best to have that same mentality. I'm sure I won't be the main topic at Live from the Masters, and that's okay. And I'll let Tiger take all that pressure, and I'm just going to do what I know how to do, and either way I'll learn from it.